Hey everyone, Richard Tubb here, back again, and I'm joined today by Rowan Ridley, who is the director for UK and Ireland for SkyKick. How you doing, Rowan?
Hey, we're good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Where do I find you in the world today?
I am in Banbury in Oxfordshire, so Middle Earth, basically.
Middle Earth, but of course, SkyKick are all like a global organisation. You've got people all over, haven't you?
Yeah, so main headquarters in Seattle, and obviously nice and close to Microsoft, which is always handy when that's the sort of sole focus of your business. Our EMEA operations are headquartered in Amsterdam, where we've got everything from support, sales, engineering, kind of a full team over there. And then, yeah, there's a few of us dotted around in country. So there's, I think, sort of 6 or 7 of us over in the UK, including some product people and things like that. And then, all out into sort of APAC areas and some of the countries across Europe as well.
Big old business spreading all over the world.
Definitely.
So I guess we should rewind a little bit for people who are not familiar with SkyKick. And you're a really well-known name in the MSP industry, but for people not familiar with who SkyKick are, how do you help MSPs?
Yeah, so I think SkyKick, the inception of SkyKick was born out of our leadership team being at Microsoft for a long, long time, being part of the product world, and seeing an opportunity in the very, very early days to help partners move their customers to what was Office 365. And so went out and built an automated migration platform. And so we would take 90% of that process and automate it, putting time back in SIs and MSPs' hands to focus on the things that were really important to customers and ultimately help them drive higher value workloads and things like that. And then as time went on, having a good close relationship with partners, you get to understand some of the other challenges. And one of the ones that came out of it was, historically, you'd have your email on-prem somewhere, you'd have it backed up. We've moved to 365. We're not got anywhere to back it up to. And that was where our backup product was born out of. And so backup's been in market a long time now. I definitely consider us market leaders from that perspective. And that's a product we still continue to heavily invest in. Has seen a tranche of investment last year around Teams specifically, and then this year into things like monitoring and giving better insights back to our partners and stuff like that. And then again, keeping those conversations open. By this point, we've got a partner network up in the tens of thousands, and ultimately asking us to say, look, we're having the obvious challenges that we all see in the MSP market, which is the skills gap, lack of resource, and basically not having enough pairs of hands to do things. And this is where our sort of management bracket was born out of, and ultimately was what led me to join the company as well. So having been in the industry for a long time, it was when I saw the product or the vision for the product, I was sort of climbing towards them and asking them to sign me up. So
yeah, so I'm intrigued as well. What type of MSPs do you see using SkyKick? I mean, not just UK and Ireland, but globally.
Globally,
yeah,
I think we're pretty scalable. I think the thing that's different about us is we weren't born out of enterprise, right? We were born out of SMB, and we've clambered our way up from SMB. And so we've got one-man band partners looking after one-man band customers. We've got the Vodafones, the Deutsche Telecoms, people like that, the global service providers of the world, and we've got everything in between. And so, we've got the sort of regionals, the nationals, multinationals, and globals. And so we really do have a truly scalable business, both across customers and partners and their customers.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, because I know people who watch these videos, we get a wide variety, all the way from the IT professionals to big MSPs to nimble MSPs, as I call them. They're smaller players than that. So one of the areas, so you mentioned a little bit the background for SkyKick, but one of the areas I'm hearing a lot of talk right now is around SkyKick Security Manager.
Yes.
And it's easy to see why, because security top of mind for MSPs, and keeping their clients safe and that. So tell us just a brief synopsis of what SkyKick Security Manager is.
Security Manager started as I guess you would call it a dashboard inside our Cloud Manager solution. And very quickly, it became evident from partners, this isn't a dashboard. This is this is something that is a solution of its own. And so, we basically made the move towards isolating Security Manager as a product in itself, and went to market last year. And it's there to leverage all of the great things that Cloud Manager had started around automation, and helping to kind of automate the service desk tasks and things like that. But equally, it's then got that focus of security. So bringing in insights and dashboards and things like that to be able to provide our partners with a security lens across their entire Microsoft customer base. We don't prejudice on licensing or anything like that, and we give you the ability to start seeing and taking actionable, or seeing actionable insights across your customer base, and then taking action on them to either remediate or prevent challenges from a security perspective.
Yeah. Well, I guess, could you do a screen share for us, and so we can actually have a look at the product?
Absolutely. What I'm working on here is a live demo environment. Okay, so it's one of our SE's environments. It's got CIE tenants in it, so it's live demo, live tenants, everything's real.
Yeah.
I will show one thing that isn't, just because we don't want to be sat here waiting for that to propagate, trying to make awkward talk. So we'll do that. But ultimately, I think the thing that I want to start with, because it really differentiates the product, is we've developed proprietary technology to integrate with Microsoft Partner Center. Right. So rather than partners having to go in and add their customers one by one to the product, you just do an integration with your Partner Center, and essentially it will. You can see here, you click this button, connect with Microsoft 365. It's going to run through, give you all of the different APIs. So we've got all of the APIs there, whether that's Graph or whether you want to use some of the legacy APIs. You hit complete, and it's going to go off and propagate all of your customers, basically, and allow you to start seeing insights and taking action across them, within a relatively short period of time.
Yes, that's going to save lots of time for people, isn't it?
No,
so what are we looking at on screen here? We can see, yeah.
So this is a Security Manager homepage. So you get your overview page, and this is, I think, a great place for partners to be able to come in and start taking a look at insights across all of their customers. So, looking at an average secure score, we know Microsoft are pushing hard on secure score. Yeah. We've seen a lot of cyber insurance companies pushing customers hard for their Microsoft secure score. So saying, look, your premium is largely going to depend on how good your secure score is for your Microsoft environment as well. And that's a space that I spent a little bit of time in myself. And it's, it's incredible to see that they've evolved into that sort of, not just putting a finger in the air and doing a bit of external pen testing, but now they want to look at customers' environments in detail and really start to build proper, insight-driven premiums and things. So, but also from an MSP, I think, when you're trying to attract new customers, and let's face it, it's a very competitive world out there. It really is important to have insights to be able to take to the market and say, look, yes, we've got this security service that we wrap around Microsoft 365, or this managed service that we wrap around 365, but here's the results, right? Here is our average secure score across our entire customer base. Here is our, how our secure score has changed for our customers over a period of time since they've taken our managed service, being able to provide those actionable insights. And if you're looking at the product here, it's going to start bringing out some, immediate risks and concerns that you want to look at across all of your customer base. So where have you got risky user accounts, Graph security alerts that we can pull through because we've done those integrations like we showed you in the Partner Center integration. And then just from an ongoing perspective, looking at, workflows in process and in progress. So things that you've already kicked off that are happening in the background. So that's, I think, something that's important. You don't have to sit there and do these things, right? You can kick something off, close the ticket, and move on. And that's really important. And then some of the favorites and things. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll jump back into the live environment so you can see it working there. It's not the click through that I was showing.
Yeah, so I was going to say, give us so when you speak to MSPs, bring them on board after a short period of time, what are the features that they rave about? The 2 or 3 things that immediately jump out as like, oh yeah, this has been worth the price of admission for this?
Definitely. I think having that insight is an obvious one, right? Being able to talk about actionable insights and not just go back to a customer and be like, oh yeah, we're looking after your security, selling hopes and dreams, but now they're selling facts. And so I think the average secure score over time. So if I was to isolate a specific customer, so let's pick on Euroturn. If we were to isolate a specific customer and we could say, look, here is before we looked after you, here is before you took our managed secure service.
Right.
And then here's when you took it, and here's what we've done to your secure score over time and things like that. So you can start to provide actionable insights. Those can be built into service delivery meetings and things like that. But the sales team can use them as well, right? This isn't just about how your support organization and engineering organization uses the product. It's about how do you leverage the insights and some of the reports and capability as well to go out to market and find more business. So that's definitely one of them. The recommended actions by point improvement. I mean, I think humans naturally choose the path of least resistance, right?
I would say so, yeah.
It's to be able to come in and go, oh, okay, I can get a 9-point improvement for this customer by doing these 2 things, right?
Yeah.
And so then from there, we've not only highlighted what you need to do, but you can go through the workflows and you can find that we've pre-built and automated the workflows to resolve these things and to take that action. So you can go in, click in and be like, okay, fine, we need to create a safe links policy. Let's run a script that SkyKick have already built to do that. And so I think that's really, really important. We're not just putting insights in people's hands. We have built, thousands of pre-built scripts to be able to say, ultimately, you can take someone who really hasn't got a great deal of experience and they can start getting stuck into these things without breaking anything, and you could be running complex PowerShell scripts that you'd need to be, a very senior and experienced engineer to be doing. You can be running them at the click of a button with someone that's on your first line desk.
Which is so much more powerful, isn't it? I know your background, you used to be a Microsoft person, didn't you, back in the day? I used to be like a Microsoft-based MSP. I can tell you, with all due respect to Microsoft, one of the most frustrating things about these tools that analyze and then tell you what's going wrong, but don't tell you how to fix it, or at best, put you off to a knowledge base article and you're like, whoa. So the idea that you can see what's not as good as it can be, and then the improvements can be a click of a button away. This is gold.
No, absolutely. And I think, we get questions quite often. How does this compare to what Microsoft offer from a standard perspective? Right. So, there's things like Lighthouse we know on the market and stuff like that. I think the reality is what we have done is taken everything into a single console. So there's no logging in and out of 12 Office 365 portals anymore. There's no looking at Lighthouse for the customers that have got premium licensing, but then not being able to take action against your customers that haven't got premium licensing. Right. We don't discriminate against those. So you can start to see, insights take action across everyone from a single place. It's all audited. So you can see in the activities tab here, you can start to see everything that's been happening. You can filter that down by customer if you want to. And also it shows you the output. So, like if I look at this weekly license status report, it's going to click on there, download a zip file. And I've actually opened it a minute ago to save us a bit of time. But then you're going to see the HTML output for that report. And so this, as an example, another thing you said about partners taking, value from, this is another one. This shows all of the trial licenses that are going to expire and the dates they're going to expire. MSPs can stay on top of their customers' licensing, make sure they're getting things up to date and renewed and things like that, all from one single place. You've got a secure factor report as well. So we talked about the path of least resistance and the quick insights. The secure factor report is the report that Microsoft MSPs will know well, and it's something that Microsoft do to basically say, here's everything you could do to improve your secure score at a customer level. Okay, fine. You can report that. You can automate this report to pump out monthly to the relevant person if you wanted to, and it just runs in the background every month, and the output gets sent to wherever you want it to. Or you can run it ad hoc. You could do it against one customer or all of them. It's so flexible and customizable from that perspective.
Yeah, makes sense. So just to clarify for the audience, because there's a lot of tools out there that are single tenant. So do things like this. This is multi-tenant. It's built from the ground up for MSPs. And I just want to clarify as well the setup routine for this, deployment of it. So is there anything else that needs to be done other than connect it to your sort of Microsoft tenants?
I think, SkyKick's background, everything we've ever developed is SaaS-based. So so is this solution. Everything we do is built for and hosted on Microsoft. So all of our technology is hosted in Azure. Our backup solution stores data in Azure. We leverage all of the Microsoft security and things like that. But yeah, it's all built to go multi-tenant. So you can see if I click on the customers tab, when we did that partner center integration, it will have ingested all of these customers, shows you the applications that they're using, the status of those things. Is there a connection error, things like that. So it depends. We've got partners that use it in so many different ways. You might have one person in your team that comes in every day and does a health check across the whole service desk. Right? You might have one person who is let's say a TAM for a specific account or an SDM for a specific account, just wants to go in and look at a specific customer, isolate their information and provide insights back to them. So it's nice and flexible from that perspective as well.
Yeah. And I like to, during these videos, put myself in the shoes of the MSP. And the very first question that is going to be asked is, and I touched upon it at the top of our conversation, where are people located? But what does technical support look like? So, and when I say technical support, I mean there's a lot you can do with this product. So it's not just technical, but I guess consultancy and helping people get the most of SkyKick.
Yeah, and I think that's where, we are a partner-only organization, and I probably didn't touch on that strongly enough at the beginning, but that was another leading factor that meant I wanted to join the organization. We do not have a single end customer. Okay, everything we do is through channel. Good. So our support organization is designed to support partners. Right? If a customer rings our support line, we will tell them to speak to their MSP. We will not speak to them directly because that is not our relationship. So we have got a help center knowledge base built for partners. We have got service desk, support desk built for partners, and that is supported out of multiple geographies to make sure that we're able to to give that support around the clock. Especially now, security manager and cloud manager, they're less sort of set up and leave them solutions than right. Migration was a one-time project. Backup is you turn it on and you hope you don't have to use it very often. And then security manager and cloud manager are way more customizable, day-to-day usage, living in the product. Ultimately, This is a place where our partners live and breathe their Microsoft 365 business now. And so we have started to build a community around that. So there's a working community that you can click in here, that you can see there's a help center here. So you can go to the community forum. Excellent. You can go to the help center. You can go to the readiness hub if you want marketing support and things like that. And again, all of that is dedicated to our partners.
Yeah. Well, I want to pick up on something you said there, and that's the C word, customize. So customization, I can see the power of this. Like, there's so many different things you could do it, and we could easily go off down rabbit holes. How customizable is the product? What can you do with it?
So ultimately, the product is built in the way that we surface the most valuable insights, actions, and workflows and things like that to partners. From there, you can take anything we have created at a workflow level, and you can amend it. So you could edit it to be something specific. Okay. You can take your own. So you'll know from your MSP days, having PowerShell scripts stored in a document somewhere for a rainy day. You can take those scripts, ingest them into this, and run those on a like I said, a very sort of protected basis. We have partners that are doing things like onboarding scripts. So from a security perspective. Right. When you bring a customer on as an MSP, there's a few fundamentals, right, that you want to tick off. Rather than having to go through multiple portals, one by one, do this in a portal, run that as a PowerShell script. What about if you had a workflow that as you onboarded a new tenant, you just came in and you ran that workflow against a tenant, and that did all of your basic security protocols that you deem, necessary, and that's your starting point. And from then onwards, it depends on the level of relationship your customer has with you, the licensing that they build. And so I think, one of the really interesting things is that as you start to build up your premium licensing within your customers, the insights that we get obviously improve. Right. Yes. So the more premium licensing functionality available to the product, we're ingesting everything we can. We can surface more as you develop more of a footprint with your customers. And so as that goes on, so if I click on I suppose it's not going to work now, but if I clicked on and went into a specific customer, I can start to see better real-time security threats because they have, Defender licensing or something like that.
Yes.
I can start to go in and then be able to take actionable insights against a specific customer. And so I think, one of the things, if you think about the things that Microsoft are pushing partners on, it's, what is your secure score, right? And is that at an acceptable level? It's building solutions and services around Microsoft 365. And especially, post NCE, it's so important to have differentiation, right? It's so important to be able to go into a customer and start to articulate why you're better.
Yeah.
And it's about making sure that, as you go on through time, you're driving premium license mix in your customers. And those are the sort of narratives that Microsoft are driving. We're very fortunate to have a wealth of ex-Microsoft people inside the business and are able to, continually maintain those relationships and make sure we're getting as much up-to-date insight as possible to help drive the things that are important to partners every single day. And so, if you looked at things like, Lighthouse was designed for premium licensing. Until you've got it, it doesn't actually help you.
Right.
But using Security Manager, you can articulate to a customer what it looks like once you've there. You take this step, we can provide you with these additional insights. We can give you that real-time support. We can show you what that looks like across our customer base that have premium licensing and things like that. So it's really about helping partners grow their business as well as driving efficiency within the business they've already got.
Got it. Now, Microsoft have got a wide variety of tools out there. You know that firsthand. But when it comes to the MSPs toolkit, there's a lot of tools out there in the MSPs toolbox as well. So one of the biggest questions I guess asked about any product is integrations. So what does integrations look like from SkyKick? How does it connect with, say, PSA tools and things of that?
Yeah. So we have got various, in fact, actually, what I'll do is I'll show you the connectors tab.
Yeah.
So you can see in the connectors tab, you've got various Microsoft connectors from an API perspective. So you've got Graph and you've got your endpoint manager and things like that. So you then start to see some other non-Microsoft technologies. So what we've actually done is develop the ability to leverage PowerShell on non-Microsoft applications.
Okay.
So we started to pick on the ones that our partners were saying they deploy most within their customers so that they can, if it's an onboarding script, for instance, can I actually just deploy Slack to a new user, right? If I've got a new user join the organization and I've got a script for set up new user, is deploy Slack included in that script, and that's fine. We're developing an open API so that partners can leverage technology that's relevant to their business specifically if they need to, but not necessarily something that we would go down the route of. And then from a PSA integration, that's this year's big focus from an integration perspective, is we're developing some of the, we've gone out and done a bunch of market research across our partners, looked at where the most commonly used PSA tools are across different partner sizes and things like that, and we're developing those APIs appropriately to our partner base, and they'll be relatively reflective of the market's adoption of the most common PSA tools out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just out of interest, so where can people keep up to date on those integrations and that? Is there a specific page on the SkyKick website?
So if you go into the help center, there's information about things that are going on. You go into the community forum and we're constantly talking about stuff like that. We've got a blog page as well. So even if you're not a SkyKick partner already, please jump onto skykick.com, go onto the resources tab, look at the blog pages, and we're always releasing things like that. So obviously, GDAP is the one that's at the top of everyone's list at the moment. We just announced over the last week or so our support of GDAP for Security Manager. And so there's a whole blog post on there that articulates how Security Manager interacts with GDAP and how that is important to the partner's business, because that is something that everyone is getting flustered about now. So, and I think that's something that's really interesting as well, is we're seeing partners adopt the solution to solve the challenges that Microsoft creates. And I don't want to be too damning of Microsoft and their business practices, but we all know they like to create complexity. And so, they're building scripts and being able to run a script across your whole customer base that enables something Microsoft say has to be enabled by this date, right? That used to be a huge body of work where you had to take someone off the phones or take someone off a customer project. Well, actually now all someone needs to do is come in, build the script, and the service desk can run it and monitor it across all of your customer base at the click of a button. So we're seeing some really interesting use cases like that as well.
I'm really intrigued. Something you clicked on or alluded to earlier on, and that's the marketing support. Now, obviously, MSPs, there's going to be a lot of MSPs watching this, and there's MSPs that I find, Rowan, fit into one of two camps. There's the first camp that say this is a great tool, this is going to lower our cost of support, we're all in, bosh, we're going to go for it. Then there's other MSPs who go, how am I going to recoup the cost of this? How am I going to explain this to clients that, we're doing a great job for them? So, marketing this product and, as part of the MSP's value add for a client, how do you at SkyKick help MSPs to do that? Yeah,
and again, I think taking me back to my point earlier about being partner only, we are... all of our, we're not putting billboards up in airports trying to attract, end user sort of interest. All of our marketing investment goes into helping our partners be successful. And that means helping them create content. So we've got a readiness hub that you can, readiness.skykick.com, and you can go in there and you can add your logo to pre-built content, right? And so that's there and you can just download that, start sending it out. We're always developing webinars, activity, collateral based on monetizing security services as well. For backup, as an example, I've spent a countless amount of my hours at SkyKick is sat with partners, helping them build managed services around 365. How do you differentiate? How do you go in with a product that everyone is selling at the same price point and differentiate? And that is about having a value add, having a service wraparound, things like that. So we've been really good at that. And we continue to put focus on that. So we'll start, you'll see content coming through around things like how to monetize security services. So you made a point about some partners will say, hey, this is going to lower operational costs. I couldn't hire someone for what this costs.
Yeah.
This is great. And that's fine. That doesn't mean they're not going to want to monetize it at some point, but that's fine if that's the way they're looking at it as a cost of doing business, should we say. And there's some partners that are going to go, oh, wow, I'm struggling to compete with partners that are selling security services already. I don't know where to start. This would get me out of the gate. How do I package it up? How do I sell it? How do I monetize it? Do I sell it for, per user? Do I sell it per tenant? Do I sell it per, what am I looking at? And so we'll explore all of those avenues with you at at an interaction level. Where we've got strong relationships with our distributors, we like to, look at having those discussions through distributors. So for instance, when we launched Security Manager globally, our launch into the Irish market was done through our distributor Micro Warehouse, and they did the whole presentation around, these are the conversations we've been having with you, right? We've been talking about security services. We've been talking about monetizing security. We've been talking about differentiation. We just never had a product that gave you the ability to do it at a low cost of entry, and not going out and buying SOC technology that sets you back six figures, but being able to say, here's something we can get out the gate with, and maybe that leads to a full SOC service down the line. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is enough for your customers, or maybe this is the starting point of your journey. Yeah,
which, you're talking about money, leads me on to the conversation. So lots of MSPs are going to be watching this. This looks great. But what does the relationship look like in terms of the cost and billing between SkyKick and the MSP? I'm not talking about pounds and pence and dollars and cents. What's the licensing model look like?
So we license at a partner level. Okay, so we take the profile of your service desk, and that's the licensing model. So if you've got 3 people within your service desk that are going to want to use it, you'd be looking at a basic plan. If you had 10 people or up to 10 people that were going to use it, you'd be looking at a standard plan. And if you're one of the bigger partners who's got a big service desk and you're looking at, up to 20 or even beyond, you can start, you can continue adding licenses, but you'd go for a pro plan. And so there's that, it's not, I think the thing that really always catches people out is we usually spend a couple of minutes and they go, so I don't pay per customer? And you're like, no, you don't pay per customer. They're like, so if I added 100 customers, how much would it cost me? And I'm like, it still costs you the same amount.
Which is amazing, because most vendors that we speak to do license things by, or they say, oh, well, you want to buy 500 license, 1,000 license, 1,500, then the pressure's on the MSP. So with this model, you can literally put it in with your engineers and then go forth and make money with it. So
absolutely. And I think, it is really difficult to make money in the Microsoft space, and you look at margins on the face of it, it's like, oh wait, I get 15-20 points on that product. We talk to our partners, net profitability is down at the 5 to 7% level. You cannot run a business on 5 to 7% net profitability. Just not viable. So now you have to think about, how do I either reduce my operational overheads, drive that margin level up, or how do I start to monetize the services and things that I can build around it? How do I develop my own IP, differentiate, monetize, and grow your business? And ultimately, there's 2 ways simplistically to grow a business. It's go and find more customers, or it's sell more to the ones you've got. Yeah. And I think the beauty of Security Manager and SkyKick as a whole is it ticks both boxes.
Excellent. In terms of contract length, what does that look like? So if somebody comes on board, how long do you expect an MSP to sign a contract with you?
So we have monthly plans available, but most of our partners are signing the annual plans because it's not something you're just going to use for a month. It's something you're going to put in and you're going to go, where have you been all my life? So it's one of those things. And so I think, definitely seeing a much better level of adoption at an annual level. But if you feel like, okay, I want to get started, I want to try it, is it the right thing for my business? Because ultimately, and one thing, especially being in the backup space, one thing SkyKick has always been very, very aware of is that we will not be the right answer for every single partner on the planet, right? And so I think it's about giving partners the flexibility to say, try it. But once they try it, they're hooked.
They're going to be sold. And what about the barrier to entry to become a SkyKick partner? Is there any cost to become a partner? What's that look like?
So we have got you can go on skykick.com. You can sign up as a partner. You don't even have to start transacting immediately. So you could sign up with a view to, maybe you've got a migration coming down the pipeline and you want to get a bit of insight into the tooling, sign up, engage with the team, use the help center. You can then obviously start, or you can see, like I showed you on the left-hand side where the navigation panel is, everything is done from the same SaaS console. So once you're in there, if you clicked in Cloud Manager and you didn't have a license, all it would do is ask you to procure licenses. And you go from there. And a backup obviously is at a customer level. So if you add a new customer, you just pay for the licenses that customer needs.
Yeah. So obviously we've got the screen shared here. There's a lot of stuff we could go into, and I'm very conscious I don't want us to go down any wild rabbit holes here because there's so much stuff that your product can do here. But is there anything that you feel as though, I've got to show Richard this while we're here?
I think for me, I'm just going to go back to the kind of the overview tab, and just think about if you were an MSP and you went to your service desk today and you said, look at the tickets that come in. What do we do on a daily basis, right? At a security level, are we resetting passwords? Are we deploying MFA? Do we know? We had a really interesting use case that came out of the micro warehouse webinar that we did when we launched in Ireland, and they had a partner who was looking to get the MFA status for all of their customers. And they had sat there in all the Microsoft 365 portals and they had tried every flipping way under the sun.
Yeah. And
they couldn't do it, right? It's a one-by-one activity. With Security Manager, it's a script that takes you 2 minutes to run, right? Brilliant. And so it's thinking about what are you doing on a daily basis already? And it's thinking about if you aren't talking about security, you are not relevant at the moment. And that's it's a bold statement, but it's true. Customers are so focused on security. SMBs are largely the recipients of most attacks. So even if you're sat here thinking, I've got small customers, they're not going to be interested in security, something like 46% of attacks are targeted at SMBs.
Yes.
And that's because the attackers assume they've got bad security, right? And don't be the reason they do.
That's a really good way of putting it. And I think attitudes in SMBs have changed since over the past few years. And probably the pandemic and everybody working from home has changed a lot of the attitudes towards cybersecurity. But yeah, MSPs have got to drive that point home. And what you've just said there, absolutely right. Hackers, cyber criminals go for the SMB market because it's typically, largely the most unprotected, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you've been there yourself, right? As an MSP, you take on a customer, you spend a load of your time and resource getting their environment into a place where it works, right? Everything works. And then they pick up the phone and they're like, Richard, what am I paying you for?
What is it we're paying you for? It's the dreaded question. Yeah.
And so once you've got it all working, they're looking to get that value back. And I think it's really important to be able to do that and to be able to demonstrate that back. But ultimately, whether you sold it or not as a part of your service, if you aren't offering security, customers are going to pick up the phone and they're going to go, we've had a breach. This is your fault. And you're going to be like, whoa. No, it's not. And we've seen within our backup partner base, the majority of our partners now have backup as a default attach to their 365 licensing. So they have an opt-out document. We worked with a bunch of our partners to create an opt-out document because they were saying, look, we don't want to be on the hook for this. And so they make their customer, if their customer says, I don't want to procure a backup solution for Microsoft 365 from you, they have to read through this document that says, I accept the liability, I accept the risk, and this is not my MSP's fault. And they have to scroll their autograph on the bottom of that so that the MSP is protected, because ultimately, data loss is a big deal. Security is a big deal, and you do not want to be the seed of doubt in your customer's mind.
Couldn't agree more. Now, you must speak to so many just MSPs, not only in UK and Ireland, but, SkyKick have got a global presence. Can you share with us any recent sort of stories of how people have been using SkyKick to great effect?
Yeah, and I think like the ones that really excite me is where, ultimately, I'm not a techie, right? It may have been apparent. I can just
No,
about get away.
you've hidden that quite well if that's not the case, right?
Okay, good. Normally, I just about get away with spelling technical, but no, I think I'm a commercial head at the end of the day. I've got a commercial brain, and so when I think about this, I joined SkyKick because I saw the skills gap. So, when CSP came to market, I was in the team. We looked after all of the service providers, all of the hosters, and we saw the skills gap around cloud adoption, and we saw all of the the merge, the convergence of channel partners that used to be really isolated. I'm a licensing partner, or I'm an SI, or I might be a managed service provider, and then everyone started acquiring everyone, and suddenly there's this huge shortage. And that was the original driver for me. Was like I could see that SkyKick's roadmap and product set solved the biggest problem in the channel. But what really excites me now is seeing partners bring this to life at a commercial level as well. So being able to say, we adopted Security Manager because we wanted to have a better handle on security and some of the basics that we need to do within our customers. But oh my God, we're selling this now on a monthly basis and our customers are lapping it up. And that for me is really exciting. But I think I used the example earlier of baselining your customers.
Yes.
When you onboard a tenant, being able to say, this is the bare minimum that every tenant should have at a security level. If you onboard a net new user, if you think back to your days as an MSP, Richard, how many calls you got around password resets or adding new users?
Hundreds.
They are 15-minute tickets that don't add any value. You don't get any additional revenue for them. So being able to take things like that and make them really simple. If I've got a new user, here's all the things, all the settings that they need to have activated. Here's all the, done. All they need to do is punch in their name and the team they're going to join. Yeah. So yeah, really, really exciting use cases. And like I say, sign up, even if you're not at a position as an MSP where you think you're ready to adopt the technology, sign up on the website to our sort of marketing collateral and things like that, because we do webinars regularly around things like monetization, things like helping you drive efficiency in your business. So even if you want to come along as a passenger for a little while, we are a great source of knowledge and insights and sort of thought provocation for the MSPs as well.
Couldn't agree more. I actually featured some of your videos in a recent Tubbservatory video, and that was the security manager, like the bite-sized videos that you've got up there. There's some excellent. So we'll include links to all of the stuff that Rowan and I have talked about in the show notes for this today. A couple of logistical questions before we wrap up here. Scalability. How much can this platform scale? We said it's multi-tenant, but is there a limit?
No, there's nothing. No. And so if you think back to my original point around our partner base, we've got one-man bands and we've got the Vodafones, the Rackspaces, the Deutsche Telecoms of the world. So it needs to be scalable. The benefit of leveraging the Azure platform is that it gives us that elasticity, but it also gives us all of the security and all of the great investments that Microsoft make. And so, it truly is scalable. Whether you know what, my favorite part of this job has always been watching the partners grow. That, when I joined the organization, we had partners that were relatively small. They had a team of sub 20. And then they've made a little acquisition, done a bit of organic growth, and now they're like, some of the sort of biggest and best partners in the UK. And so I think showing that whether it's our migration platform, our backup technology, or our manager products, they truly are scalable. And, I think having grown up through the size of customers and grown up from SMB all the way through, gives us that ability to have that true scalability. When you start up big and try to make an enterprise solution work for SMBs, we've all seen the outcome. So
yeah, I guess second logistical question about the products as well. The audience for this video, there's going to be people from the UK and Ireland watching. GDPR is going to be a challenge for them, but we've also got a global audience. So what about the compliance side of things? Where's the data stored?
So as I said, we leverage Azure. So all of our data is stored in Azure. If you're obviously everything that we do from a security manager perspective is anyway, if you were looking at from a backup perspective, you're looking at a single customer, you can choose for every single customer which data center, which is your data center, you keep your data in. So you could say, well, our tenant is in, Oxford or in the UK data center, but we want to back up to the Microsoft Singapore data center. Fine, do it, So we've got that level of flexibility. But as I say, we leverage Azure for all of the reasons, right? All of the reasons that all of your partners will know that sort of platform is one of the most secure in the world. So
yeah,
why would you not? At a GDPR level, we've got full GDPR compliance across our product sets. We have got, data privacy officer spends, considerable amount of time and effort making sure that we understand all of the regulations in the markets that we, we work in, which is essentially globally. We've just achieved our ISO 27001 accreditation as well, so that's a big step in the, a big tick in the compliance and security boxes. And so, yeah, but also we've got a trust center. So if you're, if that side of things is really important to you, just Google SkyKick Trust Center, and there's a bunch of information around compliance, GDPR, security, and all that kind of stuff on the Trust Center as well. So we're very, very, open and honest about everything that we do.
Brilliant. Rowan, we've thrown a lot of information at people in a very short period of time here. So what we've done, we'll include everything in the show notes for this, so you can check underneath the video or on YouTube. But we've also put together a web page. So if you go to tubb.co, so that's tubb.co/SkyKick, we'll include all the details that Rowan has talked about here. But any final words, Rowan? This has been really enlightening for us.
No, it's been brilliant. And I think, it's when you live in this day to day, you see things as a single example, and when I get a chance to talk about it, like this with you, it's really, I guess you can see from the smile on my face, like it brings out the excitement levels for me, and I'm hugely passionate about the channel, and so it's really great to have that. But looking forward to engaging with partners and your audience. Reach out to us. We're a friendly bunch, and we look forward to engaging with you.
Excellent. Well, Rowan, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.